Here comes a rather confusing release of a product that we absolutely love, labeled the Go Color 7. This is essentially the Page 2 or the Page Color, featuring the same PPI, same front light, SD card, battery, and physical page turn buttons. Of course, it's running a Kaleido 3 screen with 150 PPI in color and upgrades the RAM by 1 and doubles the storage. You also get Android 12. So what does Go mean? Does it mean lighter? No, it's actually the same weight as the Page. Does it mean thinner? No, it's actually half a millimeter thicker than the Page. Does it mean more economically priced? No, it's $30 USD more. Releasing two products side by side, both called Go, with no consistency across what Go is supposed to mean, does come with a lot of confusion, as the Note and the 7 don't share any common attributes. But with that, let's take a look at the Go Color 7. You know, I personally would have liked them to call this the Page 2 or the Page Color because it's nearly identical except for this thicker backing, which is actually half a millimeter thicker than the Page. It's pretty much identical though. You have your stereo speakers right there, you have your SD card, your USB-C, your physical page turn buttons, and nothing on the other two sides, and you have a power button up top. Overall, it is very nicely textured at the back. I adore this texture. I really do like it. It's almost like a flock or a truck bed liner. It's incredibly high grip. It feels just amazing. It almost feels like paper, and it leaves very little to no fingerprints because it is so textured with peaks and valleys. It's not a flat surface, so your fingerprint actually can't even have time to adhere to there. And you get this little signature line as what they're putting on their Go devices, which I believe is the only piece of consistency across the two releases so far. This is a hyper-capable e-reader and almost bridges the gap between their e-reader line and their tablet line. Their e-tablets, which they're calling tablet PCs, are the Tab Mini C, etc. And this one gets really close between the two. It's getting up there in price, so it's almost encroaching on the Tab Mini C, which has over 2.5 times battery than this does. This is basically the Page Color, so that it has the same battery, just kind of moved over with the same shell. So if you look at the overall UI, you'll be very familiar with it, and it actually is running a higher level of Android, so you get better compatibility with things that require it, like Google Apps, etc. So you get AI, you get Books Drop mirroring, you get eink center, we'll show you that in a sec, you get kids mode, which is really nice. You can kind of turn this and skin it in a way where your children only have access to certain things. Screenshot, full refresh, screen recorder, airplane mode, screencast, hotspot, and location services, as well as the glow light, which you get cold and warm because you get the temperature control, and you get your volume control, as there are no physical volume buttons on this. But honestly, you have pretty much everything you're going to need, and a gyroscope, as you see there. It does full 360 degrees, so you have 90 on both sides, 180 top and bottom. And honestly, this is going to be the answer to a lot of your questions. Can I sideload things in? Yes. Can I put my own content on in here from books and PDFs and audiobooks? And is there going to be any compatibility issues? The answer is no, because of this out of the box Google Play. When you have Google Play, you can do anything, and that's just an indisputable fact. You can download anything you want, you can play anything you want, you can download any book you want. You have manga, you have graphic novels, you have apps, you have games. Is everything going to be under here because this has it out of the box? You don't need to go and do any GSFID workarounds or anything like that. It is completely there. You have a little floating ball here you can turn off or on if you wish. You can scroll over and go to AI assistance. It's going to ask you to log in. You don't have to use it, but only certain things are going to be stored for X amount of months if you don't log in. This is going to be your chat GPT, basically, where you can say, write me a story, write me an essay, and it's going to do exactly that. You can swipe up from the bottom to clear everything and go back home. You have storage, apps, and settings down here. Settings are just going to be your typical settings, everything from gesture to display to languages and input. You have to go through the protocols of agreeing to everything before you use it, and that's basically it for the UI. This is a absolutely robust unit, and pretty much the answer to anything is, can I do blank? It's close to yes. We'll preface the book section by saying Onyx likes to play both sides of the field. They give you a store with some books. I appreciate that. We all do here at Good eReader, and a lot of our users do as well. But there's no point to it. And what I mean by that is because you just go to Google Play Books, which they give you because they put Google on here. And this has more content, better content, more current content, and it's more feature-packed when you go into things like books and manga. People are going to say, why don't we use Neo Reader? Because in terms of a usability and a feature-packed experience, Google Play Books is better. It gives you more options. You can do more things. Now, you do have Translate. You have multiple highlights. And because this is color compared to the Note Go, this one actually can utilize color, of course, because it has Kaleido 3. If you tap in the center, you get some ways to change your text. You can do your text type, you can do your spacing, and you can choose some default and left, justify, etc. You also have lighting as well. You can change the background to different themes. You can swipe over to those, and you can do the reading night light. Of course, you can command your light from the top bar as well. You can pinch and zoom as well, and honestly, if you have any issues with refreshes or ghosting or anything like that, here comes one of the most interesting and live and die by sections, and this is the eink center. This is where you have normal, speed, A2, and regal. We'll show you this when we get into the video section. You have different color modes as well, optimal, vivid, and custom. So if you want something to look super good for books, choose regal, and then it just looks amazing. You can see that, and it has a fairly matte screen, although it is a little bit more reflective than others. You can see here it does diffuse the light a little bit, but not as much as other softer screens we've noticed. But overall, the reading experience is going to be very good. And yes, you have those physical page turn buttons you can click at any time through any app, and it will work flawlessly. Again, if it gets a little too slow for you, you want a little bit of a faster experience, choose something like an A2, and then you can just burn through the book with the animations and all. So the e-ink center is going to be a very critical part of your experience that will basically carry you through everything from reading all the way to videos. Google Play Books is great for manga as well. They have a very robust ecosystem that has a ton of titles on it. This is color, of course, so you take advantage of color in the first couple pages, typically manga on the outside, and an author page is color, but then when you get into it, it's black and white. Graphic novels, more of a North American feel, is going to be color all the way through. Manga is going to be black and white, so it's not too important. You have the ability to pinch and zoom. It's all very fast, and you can double tap the boxes or the text bubbles, and they expand. They also expand and key themselves out in such a way where it's not just a zoomed in image, it's a re-rendered image, and it actually looks clearer. It's quite a nice feature, which is why we recommend using Google Books and Google Play Books over the stock experiences, because it's just so much better. And yes, those physical page turn keys work perfectly fine. Again, this is moving really quick, and it's very clear and crisp, and you might be wondering, well, it doesn't look as good as it can be. And again, you have to go back to that e-ink center, and you have to just kind of bounce back and forth between catering it to which way you want it to look at. If you want speed in A2, you keep it on A2. If you want normal, kind of a balanced mode, you just click it on normal, and this is going to have a healthy mix of having the bubbles expand, the page turns take action, the animated page turn animation move by, but everything happen at a good pace and give you the best possible experience the entire way through. And yes, you can rotate the manga as well, and you get a 2-page spread, which honestly is a little bit small because, as you can see here, this is a 7-inch, it's not a 10.3, so doing that, you just get a little bit of a tiny experience. There's a myriad of ways you're gonna consume color content. All of this is going to look a little bit different based off of how you're using it. Take this page for example here. If you go over to e-ink center, there's going to be a couple things you can do. You can do optimal, or you can do vivid. Vivid's going to change a lot of the things that are in the custom menu. When you want to change pages really quick, you can go to speed, but it's kind of peppered now. When you go to A2, it's looking really poor. And there's a lot of staining because this is meant to go fast, this is meant to go quick. So there's always a trade-off with Kaleido, but it is the most usable color in the industry right now. There isn't anything else. So we'll go back to normal and then go over to custom and show you how far you can kind of get carried away with this. The hitbox on custom is small, by the way. If you do dark color enhancement, you can see we've almost entirely changed this grayscale keyboard to basically all black. And if you go vivid enhancement as well, we're going to change a lot of the background colors. You can really reduce the saturation, increase the saturation. Color brightness is going to be how kind of much the colors pop, but all of this as well is going to be commanded by what type of glow light you're using as well, whether you have the normal glow light, whether you have a mix, whether you have the warm lighting on. So it really is it's a double-edged sword. It's good that they give you all the options in the world to change it to the exact way you want to look at it. But the bad part is that there's a lot. There are mathematically thousands of combinations, and not only that, your custom bar, they're not individual segments. These are slider bars, meaning the amount of customizational combinations is endless, but it is good that they give it to you. For this video, we're actually going to skip over PDFs because you don't need PDFs on this. It does it, it reads it, it can function, it's small. That's where it really comes down to. The functions aren't there, there's no note-taking or anything like that, so PDFs are not really that much of a front and center useful thing to cover, but we're going to look at web browsing because web browsing is quite nice. You can see here we're on the Good eReader homepage and you get everything that's very smooth, like the carousel here. Everything is in color as well, and again, it's going to depend on how you're using this, and this is app by app basis. So some things, for example, when you're in a book, it's going to show you Regal, but Regal will not be suitable for things that have a lot of elements, so they're going to just disable Regal and only give you what they know you can use. And you can alter this in the app optimization menu, which we'll show you in a second. But overall, the web browsing experience is pretty solid. Pinch and zooms work, and they find this kind of nice balancing act between refreshing the page enough just to make it clear enough for you to get a good experience. Again, you can change all that in the back end. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look at the eink center. You have your color modes, as we've said, optimal, vivid, and custom. Custom here is going to allow you to change the parameters. So if you click there, you can do dark color enhancement, vivid enhancement, and color brightness. All of this is going to change the way that everything looks. It's going to have a different weight to it. It's going to have a different contrast to it. Or you can click here to revert everything back. So we'll just choose some random ones for now and go with that. You also have your refresh modes at the bottom, and you have more. More is going to be really nice because this gives you your system refresh, which automatically refreshes everything after scrolling. So what that does is if there's ghosting in the background, it'll get rid of it. You have drag to refresh however many seconds you wish, and you have when scrolling a page, you can use different app optimizations, and you can do current app full refresh by click count and animation filter time. So these are a lot of useful things. You also have anti-flicker, which bigme kind of implemented a long time ago. It helps with just the way the videos show, but there's going to be a lot more ghosting, so it leaves behind some artifacting to give you a better overall experience. Now, the final thing we want to show you is over here in the eink center, and this is this little icon here. This allows you to do refresh mode settings on individual apps, be it the recorder, be it Bookstrap, Dictionary, Clock, Play Store, etc. So when you go into Play Store, do you want it to be speed? Do you want it to be A2? When you go into Play Books, maybe it's a reading thing, so I want it to be Regal, I want it to be this, that, and the other thing. And they're only going to give you what they can give you. For example, you're not going to get Regal on Play Store, but if you go over to Play Books, which is more of a reading-centric experience, you're going to get Regal show up there. Naviball is going to be different things as well. So it is going to matter what app you are trying to optimize, and they're only going to give you what they have implemented into the actual device itself. The Onyx Boox Go Color 7 is wildly confusing, offering a slight RAM and storage upgrade over the predecessor while being thicker in the hand and more expensive. Yes, it's running color, but they have several units in their lineup that already have color. For what it is, it's incredibly capable. It has speed modes, it can tackle anything you need it to. In fact, the name is about the only negative we have to say about it. But as it stands, this unit is familiar, high quality, and extremely usable, so it gets an 8 out of 10. A lot of manufacturers overseas have trouble with naming things, and the name is what you search for when looking for your unit. Making a new line of devices, both called Go, and releasing them in tandem only works if you have a level of consistency across the releases, which there is very little to none of. Thanks for watching.